Hello, everybody. I am making my second ever video today for YouTube. I attempted to record this last night, like 3, 4 a.m., and I was using noise gates and suppression, expanders, compressors, all the tricks, and it just sounded off and really weird still. I need to figure out how to use those properly. But then I just turned the gain down and I started recording, and it picks up the hum of the fan from the computers, which I can't really help that one. But I know I personally enjoy like having that kind of lo-fi white noise sound in ASMR videos myself, so I figured I could give it a shot. And also, I don't have to be nearly as technical with this. I just have to find a quiet part of the day. The house is pretty empty. There's only one person here right now. They're upstairs, so if you hear walking or creaking, maybe that would be them. I wanted to make this video sooner than now, but we had someone leave work. They quit for personal reasons, obviously, and I've had to work like almost 2 weeks straight with no days off, so I really just didn't have the energy or time to even put thought into what I would do. And seeing how I did manage to get the day off, at least on Saturday, I figured I would attempt to make a video here. And I had a fun idea to kind of introduce anybody who is actually here to watch or does poke their head in. I want to introduce them to something I'm really into, which is oh, that was a game I was looking at, but because Opera GX here, they show you all sorts of games coming out. It's really cool. But I wanted to show you guys what I was looking into recently, which is Warhammer: The Old World, or it was originally called Warhammer Fantasy. If anyone knows the name Warhammer, you're probably more familiar with their largest IP right now, Warhammer 40,000. Which was originally published in 1987 with the first edition. They have many games, like Space Marine 2, books, then of course, the tabletop game is wildly popular amongst, people and that sort of thing. Warhammer Fantasy came out 4 years before it was, I believe, Games Workshop, like, first game they've made, and you can kind of see that because it has, see if I can, oh, that's so bright, there we go, and it has similar, models on tables, but you can tell by just this picture how old some of these models are, being on square bases and everything. Yeah, Dark Elves versus Dwarves in this picture here. But anyways, they did away with the game Warhammer Fantasy. And they replaced it with a game called Age of Sigmar, which is it was a more modern, right here, a more modern style of fantasy game. Well, unfortunately, I was born in '97, so um, Warhammer Fantasy was out before me, and while I'm sure it was still played, it was hard to get models and stuff for. I don't even think they were selling them properly. I don't know, actually, but I got into Warhammer, initially playing Warhammer 40,000, because I thought the models looked cool and the lore was fun. And then I played Age of Sigmar because I enjoy fantasy a little bit more than I enjoy science fiction. Well, one of my favorite factions in Warhammer Fantasy is called the Beastmen. That's what I pulled up there initially, but the reason I like them is because there were these 3 games called Total War, Warhammer 1, 2, and 3. The Total War series has made a lot of strategy games. These are the only fantasy games that they've made. They normally stick with historical games, medieval age, Napoleon, the Chinese dynasties, Shogun, that sort of thing. But they made Total War Warhammer 1 at the time, and that was kind of my first taste of. Oh, sorry about that. That was my neck. That was my first taste of Warhammer Fantasy and everything it entailed. I really enjoyed the lore and the factions of that game a lot. And while Age of Sigmar is really cool, it's almost like a sequel to the entire world. So, later on, Games Workshop decides to re-release Warhammer Fantasy, calling it the Old World, because it takes place in what's known as the Old World, which has all the classic fantasy species and races and factions. The Beastmen initially were in the game Age of Sigmar, but they were removed pretty soon after I started, unfortunately. You could still play them, but they wouldn't get new rules. So I went to a different faction within Age of Sigmar. But I was told the Beastmen were being returned to their rightful place in the Old World because they are from that setting. Which got me excited. Unfortunately, at that time, no one was really playing this game. They were either playing 40k, mainly 40k, or Sigmar, or even Horus Heresy. But the Beastmen are very fun. They are just chaotic, destructive, rampaging monster men, pretty much. That's kind of one of their main images of like what they look like. Of course, that's a bit, stylized to make them look scarier, but they are pretty scary, I guess. I mean, the art of them is really cool. At first look, they're kind of like, oh, okay, it's just monster men, but no, they have a lot more going for them than that. The Beastmen, sometimes known as the Beastmen Brayherds, the Beast again, the Cloven Ones, the Horned Ones, Beast of Chaos, or even the Children of Chaos, are a race of savage humanoids that bear various traits of bestial appearance, such as cloven hooves, muscular human bodies, horned bestial heads, and a primitive malign intelligence. Usually found deep within twisted woodlands of the old world and beyond, the beastmen are a violent, war-driven race of savage mutants that seek only to plague and destroy the civilizations of men and the rest of the mortal world. They prey on the weak and defenseless, striking at lonely settlements without warning in a rampage of destruction before disappearing into the protective darkness of their dark wilderness, running away from the dire retribution that often fails to follow. The citizens of the Empire, Bretonia, and other civilized realms of the old world, the beastmen have come to represent creatures from a half-remembered age of nightmare. Oh, sorry, to the citizens, yeah. So the Empire and this faction, in this world, are kind of a mixture of fantasy human with like magic and technology and stuff. But they do have crazy units, and like you can see there, they do have fantasy elements, big griffins, but they have things like steam tanks, hellblaster guns, sniper rifles, in a sense, and then of course, they do have their cavalry and heroes. Yeah, you can see some of the age of these models, like the ogres. Those are old models. But the Empire are kind of based around just classic fantasy humans, but with a Germanic twist. They have. Let me see if I can pull up a better image. It's not really great for what I want, but here we go. See if I can get the image bigger. You see, they kind of have the griffins and the fancy looking helmets and the plumage on them, and their soldiers sometimes do dress like Lance Connect, which are historical, I believe, Germanic mercenaries of the time in real life. So that's kind of what they're inspired by. A mixture of German-esque humans, but they have, technology as well as basic swords and bows and arrows, and then they have magic on their side as well. They're very cool. Easily my second favorite faction. Bretonia are kind of just high fantasy, like King Arthur style, you can already tell. Based on the name Bretonia, you can already get Britain, and they have mixtures of Britain and France and other countries of that nature back in that time. But you can see they also have fantasy creatures thrown, like the Pegasus Knights in the sky there. Oh, there's a beastman watching some of them. But yeah, Bretonia is really cool. If you enjoy your classic knights and chivalric stuff, this is kind of the faction you want to go with normally. Yeah, their lands are much more medieval themed. And classical. But anyways, back to the Beastmen. The Beastmen are proud of their origins. It is said they are descendants of men, corrupted and twisted by the influence of chaos. When chaos came into the known world during the Great Catastrophe, following the destruction ones that don't follow chaos, but chaos is kind of like the worst of them. Um, Chaos is kind of like just a force of pure corruption and evil that has its own gods and stuff, which we won't get into today, but they all have their own ways of corrupting and coercing or just killing, you know. That's what chaos does, and the beastmen were corrupted by chaos originally when it flooded onto the world. Men deceived themselves that the danger presented by the beastmen is past, that they are safe in their walled towns, that their steel and black powder, wizards' arts, and engineers' creations will hold at bay the lowly beastings that haunt the woodlands. Men tell themselves that the mutant creatures of the forest are disorganized and incapable of fielding armies that can threaten their granulated, high-walled cities. They are quite wrong. To underestimate the beastmen is a fatal mistake. The cloven ones are creatures of violence and conflict, and they are far more cunning than the men of Empire believe. Worse still, the more noble and haughty the foe, the more the beastmen are driven to prove their own supremacy by casting them down from their lofty pedestal and trampling their bodies beneath blood-encrusted, filthy hooves. And it shows kind of a basic beastman logo, a tribe banner they would carry with them. As such, these unruly, coarse, and foul creatures go to war with savage intent, slaughtering the civilized races like cattle, burning down and shattering their homes and stomping on the remains with their cloven hooves. There was nothing left but devastation and ruin. It is said that so long as chaos maintains its foothold in the mortal world, the beastmen shall plague the lands of mankind. Now, there's a lot more to read here, as you can tell. I mean, there's a lot. It goes over before them the Great Catastrophe, their origins, but I don't want to read all of that for this video. If maybe people want that, or if I just want to do a lore video and just kind of read off the wiki pages and talk about them, that would be fun. But now today, actually, I just kind of wanted to show what the models look like and the army in the game. And I'm sure in my traditional ramble sense, I'll talk about some of the things as they pop up. Now, the interesting thing about the beastmen is that, to my knowledge, initially they weren't all just goats and bulls and things of that nature. They actually were, they had other animals, like reptilian or aquatic species or other things like that, wolves. But over the time, they really only produced these sort of, goats and ram-like models. But they're still cool. So I wish this had a dark mode. I apologize that it's so bright. Yeah, I can't make it. There's no dark mode on here, I don't think. So I don't want that. No. Anyways, so here, this is their shop. You can look at the models they own, the models they make that you can own. They have basic squads of beastmen you can buy. You have the Ungor herd. Ungors are the lowest of the low in beastman society. They are the less mutated. I mean, they still have wolves and horns, but like models, but they look closer to. Let me zoom in. They look closer to just like ugly satyrs. A man has a nipple ring. Crazy. He's going. He's getting it. So yeah, this is kind of them. They look just a bit more twisted. I mean, the champion guy, that's who that is. He's the leader of the unit. He kind of has a bit more hornage going on there, which generally leads to being, is a mark of strength in the basement tribes and the herds, I should say. From the Ungors. Sorry, it was my phone. From the Ungors, you have the Gors and the Bestigors. The Gors are kind of like the more baseline beastmen. They're larger, stronger than the Ungors. They carry heavier weaponry and actual shields. Set my phone to the side. Whereas the Ungors carry like spears and use bows, because in a physical fight they aren't much stronger than just a normal guy. The Gors, on the other hand, as you can tell, are pretty jacked. They're bigger, better for battle line infantry. It's a pretty cool image on the box there. But yeah, that's pretty much all about the Gors. The Beastigors, or Bestigors, however you pronounce it, are the strongest of the tribe and the species. They are, as you can tell by the horns, they are the biggest goat guys, bull guys, and they actually wear actual armor, and they carry large dual-handed axes. Unlike this guy, he's carrying a banner, so he's got a mace there, or I guess a morning star. But yeah, you see in the picture there, he actually has armor on and a big axe. Now, other than those three, of course, you have your classic Minotaurs. Now, these are old models. I still think, even though they're old, they have a fun, like, appeal. Oh, that's a cool paint scheme. They have a cool appeal to them, like, they're still just giant bullmen. Now, of course, they're plastic, which is good. Some of the really old Warhammer models were made of metal. Traditionally, I think they all were, but everything the Beastmen have has been remade into plastic, so it's much easier to work with. Now, I know you probably saw this guy up here. This is a giant Cyclops bull guy called a Cygor. They, as you can imagine, throw these gigantic rocks into the battlefield. They kind of act as like catapults in a way. But when you buy this box, it can be built as the Cygor, or something called a Gorgon, which is a four-armed, mutated, just beast. The Gorgon is just incredibly dangerous, just gets in your face and, smashes things, whereas the Cygor is better at throwing ranged. So you kind of have options when you buy that box. Excuse me. I have a bit of a shamans are, spiritualistic leaders for them. They can cast from a few different schools of sorcery, of magic. A primordial wizard, but he can use like demonology magic or bestial magic. I think there's one more, but I can't remember. I think it's just like basic dark magic. Then of course the really cool units, they have these giant monsters, and I'll just pop them up in separate pages for us. They have the Brayton. The Brayton is like a very large, goat, or not goat, sorry, elk winged monster. It's pretty wicked looking, honestly. It's cool. It's really cool. This is a resin kit. Resin, for anyone who doesn't know, is like a softer plastic, and they fit together fine, but they're just older. That's all it is. Then you have, the cockatrice, or cockatrice, if you want to pronounce it, which is, typical snake, chicken, hawk thing. But, it's got really cool detail on it. It's also a resin kit, but, the craziest one they probably carry is the Jabber Scythe. This thing is just, it's just wicked looking. Why can't I zoom? What's going on? Okay, that's fine. I guess I can't zoom in much further than this. I apologize. This thing is crazy. It's a mixture of a toad, sludge drake, and many-limbed insect beast. You can see it has like insect legs on its stomach there and back legs. It does have kind of toad-like squat body with wings and a clubbed tail. It's a crazy monster. It's definitely one of their more unique things they can bring. Then you have Doom Bulls, which are just kind of like larger minotaurs that lead minotaur units. Razor Cores are just large, very fleshy, monstrous boars with spikes all over the place. Centaurs are pretty much just centaurs. More beastmen-like, but just centaurs. Whereas, like, Cromwell, this is a leader of the army, one of the leaders you can get. You can see how wicked he looks, how big his horns are, which is pretty much a sign of, like, his age and, respect and seniority, because that's kind of their thing. He's got, like, a human head and a skull on his staff and a hand. He's got his weird little follower. What is it called? Bizarre, familiar. Yeah, just oh yeah, we're not gonna show that. It's just a weird looking guy. But he's a prophet of ruin, so he is a powerful wizard, yeah. If you want a leader in your army that's a caster that isn't just the basic Bray Shaman or the Great Bray Shaman, which is what these are. So when you buy these kits and you build your army using an app or the books, some of these kits can double up as different things, right? So like the shaman can be used as a shaman or a great or a Bray Shaman, something like that. You then of course Centaur Lord, which is just a champion Centaur who is kind of a crazy looking guy, honestly. He's got some sort of a, is it a drink? Is it I'm not sure what's going on. But, yeah, he's kind of like the big boy of the Centaurs. And then, of course, they do have their named Centaur character, Goros Warov. I mean, he's obviously a bit more, you know, he's big. He's a big guy. He's also a black stallion, whereas like the rest are kind of browns over here. Now, the Beastmen, being children of chaos, can tie in help from the chaos factions as well, and they can use ogres and things called dragon shakovs and all sorts of crazy units, giants. But you don't have to use them. In fact, many people just kind of, they might sprinkle some into their army, but they just stick with the Beastmen because they're fun on their own. Now, the thing about the old world, let me see if I'll keep that page open. I'm going to go back to the top here. Is you have to buy the core rule book, which, as it suggests, just has the core rules of how to, you know, play the game. Well, this is a matched play guide, but there should be, yeah, this is pretty much like how you play the modern game they've released. Because it's called matched play when you play against opponents. And then you have to get one of two army books. If you're playing any of the good guys, you get the Forces of Fantasy book. The bad guys get the Ravening Hordes, which I know is kind of silly that you, if anyone's familiar with how these games work, you generally get your own rule book. Well, with this, you don't really. You just have to pick up one of those two books depending on who you're playing, and it's only a little bit of a pain if you're sharing one book between two people. But they do have all these rules on apps and things that you can get for Warhammer Old World, so it's not that bad anymore. And in fact, some of these books might be a little outdated just because they try to keep the game alive and modernize the rules and balance it as it's played. Now, they do also offer, like, well, they used to offer reference cards. It looks like they don't offer them anymore. It's just sleeves, okay. So actually, if you look at exploring the old world, these are the good factions you can play. You have Grand Cathay that are kind of a mixture of Chinese, mainly Chinese, and I think maybe some Japanese inspired mythos. They're really cool. They're also the newest faction that was made just for this game, and their models are beautiful looking. You have the Wood Elves, which their name kind of suggests what they are. They're elves who live in the forest, and they have all sorts of cool monsters and things they can ride, and very fantasy based. You have the High Elves, which are much more of the magic-y, like martial kind. You have the Empire, which we went over, Bretonia, which we went over, and then the Dwarves. As of now, with the addition of the Beastmen, the guys we're looking at, there's only 4 bad guys, quote unquote. Now, just because these are bad guys. These guys up here don't always play nice. Sometimes, actually a lot of times they still fight too. But they will work together if they have to fight these guys. You have the Warriors of Chaos, which are just people devoted to the Chaos Gods, or just Chaos as a whole. The Tomb Kings, which you can already imagine from their looks, are very Egyptian-based. They don't care about chaos. In fact, they want it gone, but they want to rule the world, so they aren't good either. And then orcs and goblins, who are based off of kind of nomadic, like Huns and things of that nature, Mongols, with some of their attire, but they are large tribes who just want to get into a fight. So that's kind of just a basic overlay of the factions. Of course, there's obviously, much more, but it kind of gives you like a basic setting. Like, this is the old world, You have Wood Elves down here, Empire regions, Bretonnian regions. There's more and more and more, but they all kind of have their own holdings, and they fight over territory on this map here. Now, of course, if you would have picked up the game, you don't. The map is just for lore reasons. You can just play to play. There's no it's not like a board game where you have to follow particular things or follow a story. You can if you want to, but that's just for the lore of the world. Now, they have these things called battalions, as you can see, which cost a lot, but it's a lot cheaper buying these than buying the units separately, and these generally give you a good starting small army to play the game. There was a Beastman battalion. I was lucky enough to find one in the store and purchase it, but they don't sell it online anymore because Beastmen are kind of popular with people. But this is the Dwarven one. They're really cool. They're technologically advanced too, like the Empire, but they have, like flying machines. Then of course, just their basic little dudes of hammers. But they also have, let's see if it'll show us, they have their own guns too, but they're so small. Some of these models might be old. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. These are a good way to get into the game. Now, we mentioned the core books already. Every faction has something called an arcane journal, which has extra heroes and extra armies you can run out of that faction. Items and stuff for your heroes as well. So if you're looking to play a very unique kind of niche faction inside of your faction, so a sub-faction, you can get these journals, and you can, Armies of Infamy is what they're called. You can play two different, armies. They have their own rules that are different than the core rules for their army. It's really cool. But you guys probably have also noticed the cost. Like $90 for all that. I mean, that's not horrible, but $60 for 3 dudes is kind of silly. So, what I've been doing, I've bought plenty of actual models. So I feel it's only fair that I go to places like Etsy and you can kind of see I've been poking around. I apologize. But if you hear a dog in the background, we have a very old dog named Sugar, and her mom couldn't take care of her anymore. She's too old herself, but the dog is she's old. She's like half my age. this dog is old. But we have to keep her in a room because she's practically blind and wobbles everywhere when she walks. And so we keep her comfortable. She has beds and food and water and puppy pads. And we give her attention every day, of course. We don't just lock her in a room and don't give her love. But she obviously wants her mom, and it's a little sad, but they can't really be together right now because the mom just can't take care of the dog. So we're doing that for her. But this house has a big dog, a Pyrenees named Bo, and a smaller dog named Muffin, who is still bigger than Sugar though. And they're nice dogs. They wouldn't fight her or anything, but we're afraid that they would knock her down a lot. And if they're going up and down, we have lots of stairs. They would accidentally, knock her down the stairs, and we don't want to come home to see that at all. So we have to keep her inside. It's a big room she's in. It's practically its own den. But she's not happy with it, of course. But anyways, Etsy has people that sell pre-painted models, which are cool. Like you can looks like this person offers pre-painted models. That is an expensive model or price right there. Like, you can kind of see them right here, how much they ask for them. Like, I would never pay someone $2,000. I can imagine it looks like a good. I imagine it would look really good. And they have decent reviews, and they have a 5.0 rating. I mean, only 8 reviews, but 25 sales. Yeah, it's hard to want to pay that money when you can just paint it yourself. Like, these look really good, don't get me wrong. I'm not that good at painting, not that good, but I can still paint. Of course, they do all sorts of things, it looks like. That's cool. Alright, but we don't come here for that. That's just fun to look at. We come here for people that sell 3D printed models. Like if I want to get giants or the chariots, which you probably saw on the page, or basic dudes, I could order them from this guy and pay like a fraction of the cost per model because it's 3D printed. And I promise, like, the quality isn't bad compared to, the actual models. Like, they don't look as good, sure, but once they're painted and everything, it won't be much of a difference. Of course, this person has 2.8k reviews and a 4.9 rating, so Eugene is doing some work, man. He's also in West Virginia, which is only a few states away from me, so it wouldn't take so long to get to me. People are really happy with his work, it seems. So, of course, they can't name them, They can't name them basically what they are, but you kind of get the idea of what you're buying, basing the name off of what it's supposed to be, like heavy infantry or the Pestigors, a centaur, or the Centaurs. Like, it's pretty straightforward. What's going on? It's popular. Okay. Wedding stuff, I guess. It's like wedding stuff, and I'm looking at Beastmen. Of course, there's other people that sell, like, I mean, that sell models that you can grab from. Like that's a really sick looking model. I'm not gonna lie, it's really cool. Um, yeah, and it kind of gives you the idea of just what to expect from the order. But yeah, you can kind of pick your sizes, which that might seem like a lot, but that's still cheaper than getting the box at the time. And I mean that's pretty intricate work, but then of course you can get pretty detailed looking models as well. Like that guy's cool and he's holding up half of a corpse. Oh my goodness gracious. That's so crazy. Now, you'll notice that yeah, I'm not spinning him. I don't. Oh, it's a complete set. Okay, so it's all that for $150. That's actually not horrible. So it looks like it comes with. These are minotaurs. The guy's got a drum. Your gores, your basic, your medium infantry, your light infantry, and then of course, this is called a hearthstone. Let me see actually. Do they even sell hearthstones here? No, so hearthstones are a terrain piece. Scenery, I guess. It's not even on here, see? Like, they don't even sell them on our shop anymore. The only issue of Games Workshop and their stores is, like, they're a relatively small company, and they're trying to make all this stuff, and it's, I know it's not easy to keep up with all of it. So you do kind of have to, you have to find ways around it or buy it off of, like, eBay or whatever. So this comes with the Hearthstone. These are supposed to be ungores, alternate versions. Your gores, minotaurs, different minotaurs, I guess. I'm not sure what's actually going on there. Maybe these are beasticores. These might be beasticores. Okay, I don't want that at all. That was straight naked goat poop. That was weird. I didn't want to see that, but okay. Oh man. You have different leaders, and oh, that's really cool. It's supposed to be a gorgon. It shows you how big it is too. But I don't quite understand why they made a weird sexual goat lady with the rest of this. Like, that's an interesting mixture, but okay. Anyways, so I go places here, or to eBay. Look, I was already looking, but look at that. That's such an old model. Look at his face. Oh yeah, there's that battalion. Let me just close some of that out. So this is the battalion box that is normally sold for like $195. So you get your Zygor, you get your 2 units of Gores, and your 3 units of Ungores in the back. So like for $165, like sure that might sound like a chunk, but it still is. But that gets you a good start into your army, and you technically could play a small game with this box. Now see, look at this. This person's trying to sell everything for, like, I don't want to buy entire armies. Like, I turned in a lot of old models I had to pick up these boxes, so I'm not interested in any of that. That's a really cool looking Gorgon. Very well painted. Now you notice it says it's for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Beastman Brayard. So what you would do is, since that's a well done base too, I mean it looks like earth and ground. I mean there's a tiny split in his head there, but that's just the model being old. It's okay. You would take this, and then you would go back to like Etsy. I should have kept it open. And then you would make a circle to square base, and you would get like stuffing like this. Now here's the issue. A lot of these are overseas, which that's not the issue normally, but with everything happening in this crazy world, sometimes getting stuff from overseas is difficult. Like the shipping is extremely pricey. I was looking at something like these a few weeks back when I first got into the game, and it was like $60 for everything I wanted, which is great because I need a lot. But then it was like $214 for shipping. What? Why? Like obviously I'm not gonna spend $200+ for shipping. I would even spend $30 for shipping at that rate. But anyways, you would go back to this. You see Cygor. So you would go and you would just type in base size for Cygor AOS. And now I know this is AI overview, but that it has it's out of the book. See, if you hover over the source there, AI is fine if you check your sources. Everyone please check the sources. But I mean, even here you can see that like, oh, there's something on it. Yeah, we need to get that going. Okay, I don't know what that is, but sorry, there's something on the microphone. But you can even see on Reddit that the size is 1 Jordan 2 by 92 oval. So, you know, there you go. It even gives a place that offers bases. Now this is probably, I imagine, yeah, circle bases. We don't need those. So, or oval bases. So we see the size is 120 by 92. We go back here, and it looks like they unfortunately don't offer what we need with this, because it's an oval base, so it's a little weird. Yeah, these are circle bases, so we need to go here instead. Here we go. And then you just have to kind of fish through the numbers, and what is it again? Yeah, 120, okay. Fish through the numbers and try to find, there you go, that right there. So it's gonna look like this. So I know it's kind of a lot of steps, but there you go. That's how it would look. You would take your oval base and then put it on the square, because if I bought a Cygor right now, actually hold on, that's not bad, $73. So I could spend $73.68. Yeah, that's not, see, that's okay for shipping. That's what I expect. I don't expect 200, you know. I also understand. I get it. It's used, but it is well painted. So for $73.68, you get a painted model versus going here spending $82 for a unpainted, unbuilt model. So, I mean, this is, I might actually get this today, because I'll get that, and then I could just go over here to Etsy, and I could just get a base size and convert it, because there's a lot of Age of Sigmar models out there still that people are converting for old world fantasy. I'm curious now. I already have one that needs to be converted. If I bought the second one, I'm curious of like how much that would cost. No, not right now. Okay. So yeah, the shipping on this is a little expensive. That's probably because I'm sure the printed model shop is out of country. Yeah, Belgium, which is okay. That's alright. Like, I don't mind, honestly, paying that price because it's coming from Belgium. That's agreeable. It's still more than a product, but I'd only ever need to buy 2 of them, you know? So, even the cheaper ways to play this game are still going to cost a little bit, but I mean, it is a whole hobby. So, I can't complain too much. That's a good price though, man. Like, it's still cheaper than the whole model and it's painted. I'm probably gonna grab that just to have it. I already have 2 of them though. Having 3 would be insane. Just kind of an example. Look at this guy of how old some of these models are. Like, this is a really old Chaos Spawn army or model. Like, they have different versions like him, but you can just tell how old these models are. Yeah. Okay. I think that's really all I want to show you guys. I just kind of want to talk about Beastmen and show you, you know, what the army's like and kind of how I go about getting proper basing sizes and whatnot. But yeah, I'm gonna keep that up for later because I'm gonna have to contemplate it. There's also the Middle Earth game, which, if anyone doesn't know what Lord of the Rings is by now, either you just don't care for anything like that at all, or that has to be it. Like, I feel like even people who don't enjoy fantasy and whatnot, still know what Lord of the Rings is. It's a pretty big IP now. I love Lord of the Rings. It's fantastic. If I was aware they had a tabletop game at the time, I would play this. Unfortunately, it's not terribly popular. It's just old, but it's still played, and I would play it. Because, I mean, like, they made additions when The Hobbit came out, and the War of the Rohirrim. I mean, like, it's got, you know, everything you need to play. You can buy an entire battle host, which has a starting army in it too. But I mean, like, the Dragon Emperor Rune, like, no one even knows who he is because he's not in the movies, but in the books, he's obviously, like, you know, the leader of the Easterlings. Which you can play Easterlings in this, which is really cool. You have your goblins, your Black Riders, Mordor, your guys, Serpent Riders, ruffians, just thugs, vagabonds, Lurtz and Ugluk, which we know they are. If you guys watch the original 3 movies, at least, you know. Oh, the wing Nazgul, that's so cool. Look at that guy, dude. Oh my goodness. I don't need more games. But I mean, that's a pretty simple game. I apologize for my phone again. I should really take it off this desk. Oh my god. Man, I need to stop. But you can get your trolls, your big is literally Sauron himself. Hold on, what? Okay. He has easel door underground. I love that. I love that. That's so cool. Um, you know what? Let's just, yeah. And of course, you can. Um, yeah, and you can even separate it between the different evil factions if you wanted to. And of course, you can look at the good guys. Out of stock is the Minas Tirith. These are the people that were in Gondor, the cool armored guys, but you can get the whole fellowship right there if you wanted to. You got the halflings, the hobbits. You have Frodo, Sam. I think that's Merry and Pippin. I think that's Merry. No, wait. Grab who was Pippin the one who grabbed the eye? I can't remember. I think so. Legolas and Gimli, Gandalf, Aragorn, and Boromir. And I mean, they're pretty, like, easy to build. You notice they have the squares in their feet there. That's because the bases they go into have a little slot. You just slide them in. It helps stability. It also means you don't have to glue their feet to the base, which takes away some like posing, or like if you want to make them, I guess, stand closer to one side of the base, whatever. But it's fine. Like for $60, sure, you can kind of tell the age of the models by looking at their faces here. I will say the GW paint jobs sometimes make models look bad. They aren't bad painters, but like it just, the way they paint them is like movie accurate. They don't give them any stylized looks, and it looks kind of eh. There's Frodo and Samwise and Gollum. There's Boromir on his horse. Oh, that's so cool, dude. The dwarves, Elrond. Elrond is so cool. There's Treebeard. Oh my god. My boy. Merry and Pippin riding on his back. They also, it looks like they can be put on the ground of rocks. Oh, that's so cool. $89. Yeah, he's probably a big model, but still, I bet you can find cheaper ways to buy these too. You know, it wouldn't be too hard. Looks like another Samwise, Gamgee, and Frodo Baggins of Gollum later in the movies. Because this is definitely closer to when they started, because they're still well dressed and well equipped, and then they're obviously like, this definitely looks like the end of the third movie. Yeah, it is. Look how torn up they are. Oh, this is cool. Anyways, I was talking about Beastmen and Old World, and I just got distracted because Lord of the Rings is, well, Lord of the Rings. But, yeah. Alright, guys, I think I'm gonna call it here. It's been over an hour. If anyone does stick around this long, or, you know, maybe fall asleep, that's okay. I appreciate you for stopping by and watching, and I will do my best to make a video sooner than do